Hello ladies and gentlemen, Phages here, and welcome back to the channel. Earlier today, War Thunder had their newest update, Drone Age, dropped just a few hours ago, and there was a critical issue that I noticed immediately upon booting up the game. This included some borderline illegal practice in the United States and something that's just plain anti-consumer at best. Some of you may already have figured out what vehicle I'm talking about, and that is the SC-25 and the SC-25K, which was announced for the most recent update and was the primary poster boy for the current version of Drone Age. Just as a side note, I do not own this vehicle, and I understand that this may sound as if it is just a rant. However, it's meant to give more context and try and giving a bit of an unbiased third-party view on the whole situation. This is not meant to be a bash towards any employee of Gaijin and should serve just as much as a warning to the people looking at buying the vehicle, as well as is just to highlight a bigger issue that is at hand. Whenever War Thunder announces a new update, they tend to choose one or two new vehicles to be a poster boy for the current update. In the previous updates that we've had come out, there was the F-14A and A-10A, as I stated earlier, that would the primary focuses of the previous updates. This current one for Drone Age, they decided to pick the SC-25, and I applaud them for making that decision because they've finally decided to choose another nation that should be the focus point of it. However, the immediate problem I saw was that Gaijin had hinted and clued several times throughout both their development streams and the dev server, as well as I believe it was in the dev blog, that the vehicle would in fact be a 9.3 vehicle. This did not prove the case, however, as several hours after the patch went up, not days, hours, that they decided to go and nerf the vehicle and make it 9.7 almost immediately. I wouldn't have an issue with this. Balance is always a very good thing to maintain in video games, and I don't have a problem with the SC-25 having it. However, my bigger issue comes from them doing the same thing to an SC-25K, even though it is meant to be a copy-paste vehicle. Some people paid $60 or 60 gaijin coin, or whatever their equivalency is, to buy the vehicle, and expected to get a 9.3 air-to-ground vehicle that they tested it potentially on the server and saw them being hyped up so much. However, some people that may have actually bought the vehicle may have been at work and never actually got to play it when it was 9.3, as the change from what I remember seeing came out at about 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I would have been working normally till about 5 p.m. But the biggest thing that really bothers me with how they worded this was the fact that they didn't put the blame on themselves at all, and they just labeled it simply in their dev blog or change blog as just the incorrect BR, and it has been changed from 9.3 to 9.7 in all game modes. My opinion on this decision comes from, yes, a dev should be maintaining a good and positive balance for the game, and it's actually something that's pretty uncommon, it feels like half the time whenever you go into a free-to-play style game. However, my major issue arises when they charge someone money. They buy the product, and it ends up that they get something completely different. I know that this is a digital environment, however, in the case of anywhere else in the world, that would be classified as false advertising. And the fact that they didn't change it after a couple days, they changed it within a couple hours, is what specifically rubs me the wrong way with this. Because Gaijin, this sets an entirely new precedent for them. This gives them something that they can go back to and say, well, we did this in the past, so we can do it again now. And that scares me a little bit because I'll be honest, I've only ever pre-ordered one vehicle. That was the Term 3, which I'll be honest, I probably shouldn't have pre-ordered just because it's not worthwhile making the gamble for it. However, I felt like it was going to be a good vehicle and I wanted to help support the numbers for a bit. And I'll be honest, I got a little lucky with it. I didn't care for the title and I didn't care for the camo with it. But that brings back to the initial issue of the fact that Gaijin is still selling you the same product if you buy it before the update as well as after the update, and you're unnecessarily gambling your money for what, a camouflage that only you will really pay attention to and a title that nobody really cares about. If you didn't know, whenever titles are around and all that, the only ones that I feel most people pay attention for, at least for me specifically, is the ones where it's from like Thunder League or any major tournaments, or if they are a veteran player and you can tell based on their title name. But other than that, honestly, I almost have a negative opinion of people that have those title names running around, as I don't know if I can trust them to be a good teammate or not. But getting back to the topic at hand, I really am scared for the future about stuff whenever Gaijin makes announcements like that. And I know that we haven't always been able to rely on the test server as being a guarantee for anything. But it feels like that this was specifically, we saw it on the test server, we saw it in the dev streams. We saw it in the actual game client, but then out of nowhere they just decide to change it and nerf it entirely. And I'm not going to say it's useless. It's a very good vehicle still, don't get me wrong. From what I've seen from other people playing it, as well as from what I have heard from other people, it is a very strong vehicle for what it does. But in the end, that doesn't matter because that's not what the person purchased. I would have probably been more on board with it if they had waited a week or two just to let the players experience, yes, this is unbalanced, and then they might be more on board just to go ahead with the change, and because they'll understand that there was something wrong with it. But just doing it that quickly after the update, it feels like a very big slap in the face of the players that were willing to put their money to support the game before the update even released. But in the end, it feels extremely concerning for both me, because this is one of the first times I've ever noticed it, and I've been playing the game since 2014, and I've never seen anything immediately happen like this where they've nerfed the vehicle within hours of it being released. I have seen where they have changed pre-order vehicles from the test server onto the live server, but nothing where they've actually implemented it on the live server. People saw it was this way, they might have pre-ordered it, and then they immediately changed it within hours. So I hope that this does not set a trend. I hope that this gets some eyes in the description and explains roughly what's going on with it. And if any of you guys did buy it and you got affected by this, feel free to let me know and give me a like and a subscribe if you really want to see more of this kind of stuff. And I'll catch you guys next time.